Welcome, my name is Esther Buerki. I'm the author of Living Without Fear and the co-publisher of Inspired Journey. I help you overcome your fears in life and writing your book. I offer a course called Believe You Can Write, and I support you with one-on-one coaching. Get in touch with me if you need help, or order my biography and self-help book, Living Without Fear. And please share this podcast with a friend who you know needs to hear this episode. And why not giving this podcast a 5-star review so that many more people will find this episode? And today, I'd like to be very honest with you and tell you how sometimes I struggle with starting my day with a positive mindset. Since my book publication, Living Without Fear, I feel more fragile than usual. And it's definitely because I put myself much more out than in the past. I organized my first reading in my Swiss hometown called Winterthur, and I was afraid that nobody will join me and I will fall again into this old feeling that I am a failure. I was afraid as well that my parents will blame me and be very upset with me because I published some family secrets in my book, Living Without Fear. I was also very afraid that my friends will tell me that my book is such a ridiculous story and that it wasn't worth publishing it. But none of these things happened, and I needed to work with myself every morning very intensely to overcome those self-doubts and fears. And today I woke up and I felt kind of depressed. I tried to tell me that all the things in my calendar were joyful things. An interview with an amazing lady for a new podcast episode, a call with a prospect, and a rehearsal with my violin for a small concert with a friend of mine, a guitarist, where we will play a piece of Brazilian tango. These are all things which on a normal day would make me feel happy when I leave my bed. But today it didn't, because there was an inner voice or more inner voices telling me negative things. Like, you're not doing enough for your book marketing, your book isn't good enough to attract a larger audience, or you are on an ego trip and you want to be seen and it's not happening because you are a failure, a thing you always believed in the past and now you have it again. Isn't this sad, what I'm thinking about myself? I can feel it very deeply now talking about it. And I guess you know exactly how I felt, because everybody has these negative voices in her or his head. This morning, I wasn't even so much aware what I told myself. I just had this feeling of being down and of a lack of joy. I started my normal morning routine with the exercises I got from the EGOSQ Center, which I always do every day, so that I feel balanced in my body and no pain at all. And then I did my usual meditation practice of 20 minutes. I felt calm afterwards. I felt lighter, but there was still no joy. So I started journaling, as I do as well, every morning, and I started writing down how I felt fragile. And from my experience in the past, I know that the ultimate thing to change my thoughts and feelings towards more joy and happiness is gratitude. So I started writing down what I was grateful for. I didn't feel any difference in the beginning, but the longer I went on writing, I started seeing myself from the outside, and I recognized all the beautiful things which already happened in my life. I also included my parents in my gratitude journal. My soon 8-year-old father has shown me so much love in the past month that I always feel like crying when thinking of his tiny gestures of love. At that point, my heart and my feelings had already shifted. Then I started thinking about my mother. At the beginning, I felt some anger because she couldn't see me. She was always too busy with herself, with her own person, and with her depression. She rarely shows me that she appreciates me. And often her health of her 80-year-old body is the important topic. Actually, everything is about herself. And even when she asks me something about my life and myself today, she always compares it to her life, and most of the time she tells me that she cannot understand why I do this or that. All what I do is so far away from what she would be doing. But this morning, during my journaling, I forced myself to find something joyful about my mother, and I found it. Actually, she taught me how to enjoy small things, and she was so good at it. With cooking, with sewing clothes, or with taking care of plants. She always celebrated small achievements and shared her joy with me and my brother. And imagine, suddenly my heart started feeling so joyful, so light. All the feelings of being in a depressed state were gone. And at the end of my journaling, I was, and I am still so grateful for the fact that I was able to walk myself through these feelings and replace the negative with positive ones. It's work. It does not work without doing anything, but it works. This work works. And for this, I am so grateful that I learned it from so many coaches, starting with Deepak Chopra and Michelle Masters. If you want to hear more about my journey, get my book, Living Without Fear, on Amazon. And thank you, dear listener, for being here and taking some time to learn from me. Appreciate yourself for this, because you're awesome, you are loved, and you matter. And thank you so much for sharing this podcast with someone who needs to hear this episode. Have an amazing day, and talk to you next week.